Hi guys, it's Flora again. So this week we'll be going into chapter 15, our last chapter for leadership. So first of all, congratulations on reaching the last chapter. Chapter 15 is all about leading change. So we've come a long way, and this is where the magic really happens. So now that we've had our leadership foundation built stable and steady, we will dive deeper and learn how we can develop the skills to lead people through changes. Leading others through change is a key leadership competency and has become an even more crucial skill set as the rate of change continues to accelerate in today's business landscape. When leaders have this important capability, organizations and teams are able to accelerate change initiatives and involve the entire organization in driving and sustaining important transformations that will ensure the organization's long-term success. Next slide. So after we finish the lesson, you'll be able to recognize the environmental forces creating a need for change in today's organizations. Be able to describe the qualities of a change leader and how leaders can serve as role models for change. So number 3, you'll be able to implement the 8-stage model of planned change. Number 4, to use appreciative inquiry to engage people in creating change by focusing on the positive and learning from success. Number 5, you'll be able to apply techniques to expand your own and others' creativity and facilitate organizational innovation. And last but not least, number 6, to provide a positive emotional attractor, supportive relationships, repetition of new behaviors, participation and involvement, and after-action reviews to overcome resistance, and most importantly, help people change. So helping people change, leading change is what it's all about. It's what chapter 15 is all about. So, for our introduction, major turnarounds are exceedingly difficult for any leader. Some change efforts have been very successful, but some might end up being utter failures, such as the scenario illustrated in the beginning of the chapter, where Ron Johnson, previously an Apple executive known for his creativity, enters retail chain JCPenney as CEO, but left only holes to fix and patch for his successor. The turnaround strategy almost killed the company, as it was a brutal display of forcing changes without leading the company. Bringing in changes to a company is never an easy task, but conducting these changes is necessary for businesses to cope with a new and more challenging market environment. So we will first look at the role of leader as a change agent and examine a step-by-step framework for leading change. Then we'll be exploring the AI technique and how it can be used to lead both major and ongoing daily change. And third, we will take a look at how we will nurture creativity within people and organization. And finally, understand why people often resist change and how leaders can help people successfully make needed changes and overcome resistance. So, leadership means leading change. Making sure organizations change as needed to respond to threats, opportunities, or shifts in the environment is the leader's job. So the whole book stresses the fact that leadership is about change rather than stability. Leaders have to help people see the need for change and buy into a new way of doing things. In order for organizations to survive and thrive, change is a necessity. The economic depression that happened years ago, as we pretty much all know about it, and other environmental shifts such as globalization and others forced leaders in all industries to take a fresh look at how they do business. Changes in social attitudes, new leadership response, and rethinking the economics of business were all required for leaders to succeed. Exhibit 15.1, here you can see on the PPT, shows some of the environmental forces such as rapidly changing technologies, shifting social attitudes, globalization, increasing government regulations, changing markets, the growth of e-business, and the swift spread of information via the internet. All of the factors mentioned above are creating a greater need for change leadership within an organization or within organizations. So change is always inevitable, means it happens every once in a while, very often, but so is resistance to change. This means that leaders do initiate many changes, but most of these don't meet expectations. One significant problem to why change programs don't produce the intended results is because most people have a natural tendency to resist change. Even when the changes are ones that could probably make their lives better, given this, if people resist changes designed to add value to their lives, imagine what it's like for them to try to implement changes that significantly might shift their job responsibilities, their task procedures, or work interactions. So resistance also happens when people have the wrong interpretation that these changes will bring negative consequences and effects. But these should not stop leaders from initiating change. Instead, they should be prepared. The leaders should be prepared for resistance, and also they should find ways to enable people to see the value in changes that are needed for the organization to succeed. Leader as a change agent. So, good leaders can facilitate needed changes to help the organization adapt to external threats and opportunities. Good leaders serve as role models for change and provide the motivation and communication to keep change efforts moving forward. So it keeps accelerating. They do this for people throughout the organization to view change as positive and natural. So researchers out there identified a few characteristics of leaders who can accomplish successful change projects. So the key characteristics. Anyone willing to read it for us? All right, I'll do it here in my recording. So number one, they define themselves as change leaders rather than as people who want to maintain the status quo. They demonstrate courage. They believe in employees' capacity to assume responsibility. They can assimilate and articulate values that promote adaptability. They recognize and learn from their own mistakes. They are capable of managing complexity, uncertainty, and ambiguity. They have vision and can describe their vision for the future in vivid terms. So, Leader Self-Insight 15.1, Resistance to Change. Please respond to each of the following items based on how you handle day-to-day issues in your life. Think carefully in order to be accurate as possible. We'll work on this in our class. Next, 8-stage model. So, When leading a major change project, it is very important for leaders to recognize that the change process goes through stages, and each stage is very, very important, so you can't skip any of it. And each stage may require a significant amount of time, so no rushes. Exhibit 15.2, the one here on the PPT, is the 8-stage model of planned organizational change. It is developed by John Kotter, an internationally known and widely regarded as the foremost speaker on the topics of leadership and change. This model developed by Kotter helps leaders navigate the change process. So the model starts with lighting a fire for change. That is step number 1. Leaders communicate the urgency for change in a way that touches people's emotions, or in other words, they help people feel the need for change rather than just giving them facts and figures. So after the fire sparks, it is time to get the right people on board. So that leads us to number 2. If you consider the complexities of change, no single person can implement a change, especially a major one, alone. Leaders build a strong coalition of people with a shared commitment to the need for and possibility of change for successful change. Leaders include people with enough power to make sure the change happens, as well as people who can make the change more acceptable to end users. The third stage is to paint a compelling picture, making it more vivid. People need a clear vision and strategy to inspire them to believe that a better future is possible and they can achieve it through their actions. So, leaders create a picture that helps people understand why the organization is undertaking the effort and how the change will help it to achieve long-term goals. At this stage, it is also important to develop a strategy for achieving the vision and let people know how they fit into the big picture. So number 4, there is no other way to stress the importance of communicate. So that means communication all the way. Leaders tell the message not just once, but over and over again. They keep repeating it. Change throws everyone into doubt and uncertainty, and during these times, people don't really listen well because of the anxiety they feel. Another point to remember is that actions speak louder than words. Leaders walk their talk. Change leaders model the new behaviors needed from employees. Stage 5 is to get rid of obstacles and empower people to act. Leaders give people the time, the knowledge, resources, and discretion to take steps and make the change happen. This might mean revising structures, systems, or procedures that hinder or undermine the change effort. So number 6, stage 6, achieve and celebrate quick wins. During major projects, energy and motivation can wane during the process, meaning it will decrease or fade, unless people see positive results of their efforts. So, leaders identify some short-term accomplishments that people can recognize and celebrate to keep the momentum running. A highly visible and successful short-term accomplishment boosts the credibility of the change process and renews everyone's enthusiasm and commitment. Keep it moving. Number 7, or like what Dory said, just keep swimming. Do not get stuck on short-term wins. I can't speak today again. Do not get stuck on short-term wins. It's important for leaders to build on the credibility of early accomplishments and keep the change process moving forward. At this stage, they confront and change any remaining issues, structures, or systems that are getting in the way of achieving the vision. The final stage, is to find ways to make the changes stick. Leaders look for ways to institutionalize the new approach, striving to integrate the new values and patterns in everyone's work habits, such as the example of Florida heating, ventilation, and air conditioning contractor Del Air, whose managers linked a new GPS-enabled time tracking system with the company's bonus system. Employees who are more efficient with their time get a reward. So in this example, the managers did this by integrating the change with the incentive system. So they made the new time tracking system an accepted, integral part of everyone's daily work. While dealing with a major change effort, leaders can use the 8-stage change process to provide a strong foundation for success. The stages in the change process generally overlap, but each of these stages is important for successful change to occur. Now, one of the most exciting approaches to leading change is a process known as AI. Note that AI here is not artificial intelligence, but appreciative inquiry instead. AI engages individuals, teams, the entire organization, or even at the societal level in creating change by reinforcing positive messages and focusing on learning from success. In each case, it helps people move forward to move toward a shared vision for the future by engaging others in strategic innovation. Much said, appreciative inquiry is a strengths-based, positive approach to leadership development and organizational change. Rather than finding who to blame, AI asks the questions such as, what is possible? What do we want to achieve? It's basically like asking, do you view the glass as half full or half empty? Appropriately framing a topic to investigate what is right rather than what is wrong is critical to the success of AI because it gets people away from blame, defensiveness, and denial and sets a positive framework for change. It brings in enthusiasm. AI can be applied on either a large or a small scale. It has been used globally by public and private organizations of all sizes, including to address sales growth at Merck, to improve customer service at British Airways, to pursue sustainable value creation with Walmart, to develop leadership in the United States Navy, or to redesign organizational divisions at World Vision to improve cost, quality, and cycle time at John Deere. The 4 stages of AI, appreciative inquiry. AI can accelerate large scale by positively engaging a large group of people in the change process, including leaders, employees, and people from outside the organization, such as customers or clients, partners, and other stakeholders. So once a topic has been identified for exploration, the group follows a 4-stage AI process. The first stage is the discovery stage. For the first and foremost, people identify the best of what exists, the organization's key strengths and best practices in this stage. It is all about discovering the unique qualities of the group that have contributed to success. Leaders interview people, asking them to tell stories that identify the best of their experiences with the organization. The second stage is to dream. Next in row comes the dream stage. People reflect on what they learned during the discovery stage and imagine what it would be like if these extraordinary experiences were the norm. The dream stage, though, is about imagining what could be and creating a shared vision of the best possible future, grounded in the reality of what already exists. AI inspires hope and energy for change by allowing people to express their dreams for the future. So, third is design. The design stage formulates action plans for transforming dreams into reality. This involves people making decisions about what the organization needs to do in order to be what it wants to be. The final stage of AI is creating a destiny by translating the ideas identified in the previous stages into concrete action steps. This involves both celebrating the best of what already exists and pushing forward to realize the dream by creating specific programs, activities, and other tangible forces that will implement the design and ensure the continuation of change begun during the AI process. So using the AI methodology for a large-scale change may involve hundreds of people over a period of several days and may be conducted off-site to enable people to immerse themselves in the process of creating the future. Businesses, school systems, churches, and religious organizations, communities, government agencies, social service organizations all use AI for large-scale change. Oh, I am missing a slide, I believe. Wait, let me see real quick. Go back. Okay. The nature of leadership means influencing people in small ways on an ongoing basis. AI can also be applied by individual leaders on a smaller scale. So good leaders work daily to gradually shift attitudes, assumptions, and behavior toward a desired future. When individual leaders in an organization are involved in daily change efforts, they have a powerful cumulative effect. The tools of AI can be used for a variety of everyday change initiatives, such as developing followers, strengthening teamwork, solving a particular work issue, or resolving conflicts. The key is to frame the issues in a positive way and keep people focused on improvement rather than looking at what went wrong. Leader's Bookshelf. Chapter 15's Leader's Bookshelf offers us a three-part framework for change. These solid advices can be applied to both individuals and organizations that need to change. The first part is to provide direction. Look for the bright spots. This involves setting a clear direction and scripting the moves that can help people get there. A key point here is to focus on the positive. Many people facing a need for change are demoralized and depressed. To bring about change, leaders shift people to thinking about things they have done in the past that were positive and how to do those kinds of things more often. The second part is to get emotional, to motivate people to change. The lesson is that people don't think their way into a new behavior. Change depends on changing emotions. So this is behind why charitable organizations use photos of needy children to attract donations. Because they appeal to people's emotions. That is why. And the third part is to shape the path, make change more comfortable. Old habits die hard, as we all know, but the opportunity for change to take hold is enhanced when the new habits are more comfortable. Okay, so are you a change leader? We've come to Leaders Self-Insight 15.2, and we'll do this in class. First, let me take a sip of water. All right. Next. Small question. How do you define creativity? So, what do you think of when you think of creativity? Or maybe like who do you think of when this word pops into your mind? You can give us any answer you have, any suggestions, or just what you think of it. Anyways, we will go over this through class. The American Management Association asked 500 CEOs the question, what must one do to survive in the 21st century? And the top response they got was practice creativity and innovation. So nowadays, effective leaders find ways to promote creativity and innovation, particularly in the departments where it is most needed. The book defines creativity as the generation of ideas that are both novel and useful for improving the efficiency or effectiveness of an organization. Creative people come up with ideas that may meet perceived needs, solve problems, or respond to opportunities that are therefore adopted by the organization. One of the most important tasks of leaders today is to harness the creative energy of all employees, because creativity itself is a process rather than an outcome. It is a journey rather than a destination. It's like reciting a poem. Leaders can build an environment that encourages creativity and helps the organization be more innovative. Fostering a creative culture and promoting collaboration will spread values for creativity throughout the organization. For creative acts that benefit the organization to occur consistently, the interests and actions of everyone should be aligned with the organization's purpose, vision, and goals. And leaders should make a commitment of time, energy, and resources to support creativity. The most popular approach is to provide an idea incubator. Now, what is it for you, you may think? It basically acts as a shield of protection. An idea incubator provides a safe harbor where ideas from people throughout the organization can be developed without interference from company bureaucracy, or politics. Big companies like Yahoo, Boeing, Adobe Systems, and UPS have used idea incubators to make sure good ideas don't get lost in the day-to-day organizational system. In order to build a culture that encourages corporate entrepreneurship, leaders encourage the creative spirit of all employees by promoting cultural values of curiosity, openness, exploration, and informed risk-taking. One important outcome of entrepreneurship is to facilitate idea champions. Idea champions are people who passionately believe in an idea and fight to overcome natural resistance and convince others of its value. Since we all know change does not happen by itself, in order for change to happen, personal energy and effort are needed to successfully promote a new idea. A creative culture is an open culture that encourages people to look everywhere for new ideas. In these types of organizations, leaders promote openness by rotating people into different jobs, allowing them time off to participate in volunteer activities, and giving them opportunities to mix with different people. To mix with people that's different or like different from themselves. Yeah. Leaders can also give people opportunities to work with customers or like suppliers or people outside the industry. So this all contributes to a flow of fresh ideas, such as this really fun example from CEMEX, a Mexican multinational building materials company. The company's executives often ride in cement trucks to get ideas about customer needs, and then they bring it back to their organization, and then that is where they start their creative thinking. So the next slide. Oh, I am missing another. Wait, why is my PPT missing? So another way to spread values for creativity is to promote collaboration. Although many individuals have creative ideas, creativity soars when people work together. So why not take it up a notch? Rather than leaving people stuck in their departmental silos, smart leaders find ways to get them communicating and collaborating across boundaries, known as creative collaboration. And this is one of the most important activities leaders can support for a creative culture. If you recall what we learned in Chapter 10 about building and leading teams, this is one reason companies use cross-functional teams and self-managed teams to build creative collaborations. Some remodel their physical spaces so that people from different areas work side by side on a daily basis. Others use internal websites that encourage cross-organizational collaboration. How cool is that? A recent approach to promoting one-on-one collaboration is speedstorming. Speedstorming was inspired by the phenomenon of speed dating. It uses a round-robin format to get people from different areas talking together, generating creative ideas, and identifying areas for potential collaboration. These people are divided into pairs, with each person from a different department and given a specific topic, with a goal of generating ideas to pursue collaboratively by the end of each 3 to 5 minute round. The goal is for each participant to have formed ideas for creative collaboration with several others by the end of the session. Organizations that want to encourage change and innovation strive to hire people who display creative characteristics. However, recent research shows that everyone can learn to be creative and can get better at it with practice. Strictly saying, it means that everyone has roughly equal creative potential. But the big problem over here is that not many people use that potential that they have. They tend to keep it in their box, they tend to hide it, they just don't generate it that much. Leaders can help individuals be more creative by facilitating brainstorming, promoting lateral thinking, enabling immersion, allowing pauses, and nurturing creative intuition. Facilitate brainstorming. So, setting up brainstorming sessions focused on a specific problem or topic is one of the most common ways to encourage creativity. Brainstorming uses a face-to-face interactive group to spontaneously suggest a wide range of creative ideas to solve the problem. The keys to effective brainstorming are no criticism allowed. Group members should and shall not criticize or evaluate ideas in any way during the spontaneous generation of ideas. That means all ideas are considered valuable. Freewheeling is welcome. People should express any idea that comes to mind, no matter how weird or whimsical. Brainstormers should not be timid about expressing creative thinking. A full-time developer of ideas at Intuit, I think it's Intuit, or is it Intuit? Intuit once said, "It's more important to get the stupidest idea out there and build on it than not to have it in the first place." The third is that The third key to effective brainstorming is to quantity desired. The goal is to generate as many ideas as possible. So the more ideas, the better. The likelihood of finding excellent solutions is greater when a large quantity of ideas is generated. Combining ideas is also encouraged. So all ideas belong to the group, and members should modify and extend ideas whenever it is possible for them to do so. So although brainstorming also has intense critiques, it still remains the most common way leaders use groups to generate new ideas. Leaders are also continuously searching for ways to improve the brainstorming process. Some companies are practicing an extreme type of brainstorming based on the popularity of television reality shows that puts people together for an extended time period to come up with ideas. Another approach to brainstorming is called the electronic brainstorming, or also known as brainwriting. It brings people together in an interactive group over a computer network, so they can submit ideas and can also read and extend others' ideas. Research studies have shown that electronic brainstorming generates about 40% more ideas than individuals brainstorming alone, and 25% to 200% more ideas than regular brainstorming groups, depending on the size of the group. So the reason behind this is because people participate anonymously. So the sky's the limit in terms of what they feel free to say when people don't know who you are, whatever, or you're just like going incognito or stuff. You don't have to fear that much. Another reason is because people can write down their ideas immediately, avoiding the possibility that a good idea might slip away while the person is waiting for a chance to speak in a face-to-face group. So, lateral thinking can be defined as a set of systematic techniques used for changing mental concepts and perceptions and generating new ones. Usually, a person's thinking follows a regular groove and somewhat linear pattern from one thought to the next. But linear thinking does not often provide a creative breakthrough. Linear thinking is when people take a problem or idea and then build sequentially from that point. So in this case, using lateral thinking is a more creative approach. With lateral thinking, people move sideways to try different perceptions, different concepts, and different points of entry to gain a novel solution. Lateral thinking makes an unusual mental connection that is concerned with possibilities and what might be. Lateral thinking appears to solve a problem by an unorthodox or apparently illogical method. So, in order for big organizations such as Nestle, Boeing, IBM to meet the demands in this rapidly changing global environment, they train people to use lateral thinking to solve problems. To stimulate lateral thinking, leaders provide people with opportunities to use different parts of their brains and thus to make novel creative connections. If the answer isn't in the part of the brain being used, it might be in another that can be stimulated by a new experience. Alex Osborne, the originator of brainstorming, developed many creative techniques, but the most effective technique that is widely used to stimulate lateral thinking is the checklist. Here you can see on the PPT. The checklist seems to work best when there is a current product or service that needs to be improved. Enable immersion. Okay, so we actually have a little activity after this, but I don't really want to spoil it right now. So I'm just gonna leave it over for a bit, and then we'll go over it through in class on Wednesday, so that the answer doesn't slip away. The next is to enable immersion. If lateral thinking is considered to think outside the box, then immersion means to go deeply into a single area or topic to spark personal creativity, which has been called thinking inside the box. So, one approach to immersion is to focus on the internal aspects of a situation or problem. People can take a product, situation, or process and break it down into component parts. Manipulating the components in unusual ways can create a valuable new idea. Another way to get people to break out of habitual thinking patterns and ingrained perceptions is to immerse them in new experiences that give them a different perspective on a familiar topic. Some leaders reorganize often to immerse people in different jobs and responsibilities, but frequent change can be very unsettling. But it also keeps people's minds fresh and innovative. It's because you keep changing from this to that, so you keep on having new thoughts and ideas coming into your brain. That's why. Some of the best ideas often occur when people take time off from working on a problem and change what they are doing. So, allowing pauses activates different parts of the brain. Jennifer Wiley, a psychology professor at the University of Illinois at Chicago, says that when you are trying too hard to focus on your attention, you are going to miss new ideas. So it's actually beneficial that a person stop trying to solve a problem and allow the mind to wander for a bit. Creativity often occurs during a mental pause, a period of mixed tension and relaxation. In the shower, or while exercising, driving, walking, or meditating, the mind reverts to a neutral, somewhat unfocused state, in which it is receptive to issues or themes that have not been resolved. If the analytical part of the brain is too focused and active, it shuts down the spontaneous part. The semi-relaxed mental pause is like putting the analytical left brain on hold and giving room for the intuitive right brain to find the solution in the subconscious mind. C.S. Lewis, author of probably everyone's favorite series, The Chronicles of Narnia, was fond of long contemplative walks to facilitate his creative juices. Leaders can apply this idea by allowing people to have quiet spaces when they need them. Simply breaking up a group session and telling people to go take a walk or work on something simple and repetitive for a while can kickstart the creative process. Oh wow, I'm almost at the end. So, the creative flash of insight leaders want to awaken is actually the second stage of creativity. The first stage is always data gathering for sure. The mind is gathering data constantly, especially when you are studying background material on a problem to be solved. Then the creative insight bubbles up as an intuition from the deeper subconscious. It may be hard to trust that intuitive process because it seems soft to many business executives. The subconscious mind remembers all experiences that the conscious mind has forgotten. So creative intuition has a broader reach than any analytical process focused solely on the problem at hand. Alright, so now that you have gotten over the tricky questions on the book yourself, I have another one that I personally find really interesting. I'm going to save the question over here and ask it on class during Wednesday. Wait. Ask it on Wednesday during class. What was I talking about? So, anyways, I'm gonna save it for now. Implementing change. Leaders often see change, innovation, and creativity as a way to strengthen the organization, but many people view change only as painful and disruptive. And why is that? A critical aspect of leading people through change is understanding that resistance to change is really very natural, and that there are often legitimate reasons for it. The reason why employees resist change is that it violates the personal compact between workers and the organization. Personal compacts are the reciprocal obligations and commitments that define the relationship between employees and organizations. They include things such as job tasks, performance requirements, evaluation procedures, and compensation packages. The personal compact incorporates elements such as mutual trust and dependence as well as shared values. When employees perceive that change violates the personal compact, they are likely to resist. Sometimes leaders really just don't understand why change could be so difficult for many people. But for something new to begin, something old has to end. And most of us have a very hard time letting go of something we value. Even if we want something new, there's like this part that's in you that's holding you back from all this. So, changing behavior always depends on changing people's emotions about the situation. People have to psychologically and emotionally let go of the old before they can embrace the new. So, it is very important for leaders who want to implement change to always ask the question, who's going to lose what? In addition, when changes are imposed from outside the individual, many people feel a loss of control over their own lives and circumstances, which provokes a strong emotional reaction. Change also means that people have to give up their stable routines. You see, this is probably the biggest reason. It's because people are scared to go outside their comfort zone. They have this tendency to fear the unknown and are more comfortable dealing with the tried and true. Particularly when people don't understand how a change will affect them. They find it more reassuring to stick with what they already know, even if it is like unpleasant or it drives them crazy, than to jump into the unknown. So at work, employees might worry that a needed change in work procedures will mean an end to the camaraderie among their work group, or fear that a new technology might cause them to lose autonomy or status. Scientific studies demonstrate that people have a very hard time changing even when told that not changing will lead them to an early grave. That means it's gonna destroy them. Destruction is coming. So, changing people's thinking and behavior is possible, and the keys to doing so incorporates 5 elements. And the keys to doing so incorporates 5 elements. A positive emotional attractor, a supportive relationship, repetition of new behaviors, participation and involvement, and after-action reviews. So the first, providing a positive emotional attractor. A PEA, a P, that's what it's called, awakens a person's hopes and dreams about the future, about possibilities of what could be, rather than focusing on trying to fix the weaknesses or shortcomings. People learn and change because they want to, not because they ought to, which means they need an inspiring vision of what the future can be. So that is why you have to provide a positive emotional attractor in order to help people change through tough times or just literally helping them change. The second is that make sure that people have a support system. Leaders help people establish new and emotional relationships that provide hope, make them believe they have the power to change, and inspire them with the expectation that change will happen. Effective leaders of social movements, for example, are highly skilled at giving people hope and faith that change is possible. Ooh. This emotional relationship with a leader, a mentor, or a community helps people learn and practice the new skills and habits needed to change. The third is to use repetition. People need the opportunity to experiment and practice the new skills and habits over and over until the new pattern of behavior becomes automatic. Repetition helps people become accustomed to something new, so it helps them change. The fourth is to involve people early. When people are involved in helping to design the change, they will be more committed to it. Think about the early bird theory over here. Although this approach is pretty much very time consuming, it pays off by giving people a sense of control over the change activity. So they come to understand that the change better and become more committed to its successful implementation. And the last is to apply after action reviews. An excellent mechanism for evaluation and feedback on a change is the after action review. These reviews are quick sessions during which leaders review the outcome of change activities to see what worked and what didn't, and what can be learned from it. So, very interestingly, this concept actually comes from the United States Army. After every identifiable activity, whether it is in field operations or training simulations, people often take 15 minutes to ask 4 simple questions. The 4 questions are: what was supposed to happen? What actually happened? What accounts for the difference? And last of all, what can we learn from it? So, effectively and humanely leading change is one of the greatest challenges for leaders. And the nature and pace of change in today's environment can be very exhilarating, but it can also be very inconvenient, painful, and downright scary, super scary. But make sure you keep this in mind. Savvy leaders can always help people navigate the change process and make it successful. So, this is all that I have for this presentation. So, thank you very much for listening, and I hope you all learned something new. Thank you.